let me start with our top story here. Very distressing, depressing story from a city I come from, Bengaluru. A student was raped by her own two professors. The sacred trust between a teacher and a student, a bond that is meant to foster learning and guidance, has now been shattered in a series of horrific incidents across the country. One such that's happened today is of this horrific crime. Three of these men that you see on our screens, two of them are lecturers from a private college in Moodabidri, coastal Karnataka. They've been arrested in Bengaluru for allegedly preying on one of their own students. In a chilling breach of trust, the survivor was first lured to Bengaluru by her physics lecturer, Narendra, under the guise of providing academic notes. It was there at a friend's home that he allegedly raped her. Of course, didn't stop there. Another lecturer heard of this because allegedly Narendra boasted about raping this girl to this other lecturer, and this other lecturer, Sandeep, who teaches biology, then used the video of Narendra and that girl to blackmail her and then rape her again. And then came a third man here, Anup, a friend of the two, who allegedly threatened the girl with false CCTV footage of her, claiming that he has some videos of her entering the house of one of these men and then raped her again. All this happened about a month ago. The girl was traumatized, and we hear that the survivor stayed silent for so long but finally could not bear the trauma she was going through and then confided in her parents. The parents finally approached the Karnataka State Women's Commission, which acted swiftly, directing the Marathalli police in Bengaluru to file an FIR on July 5th. Now, all three accused have finally been arrested today. These were teachers, trusted mentors who, instead of guiding her, destroyed her trust, her dignity, and her sense of safety. Not the only isolated incident here. If I could take you through another tragic update we're getting of Balasore, Odisha case. Very sad to tell you that that young woman in Balasore who tragically tried to take her life, she was literally burnt 90%. They were trying to recover her, but unfortunately she passed away. The young woman who tragically took her own life after she was sexually harassed by her teacher, Sameer Kumar Sahu, in Balasore, Odisha, has now succumbed to her injuries. She had been battling for her life after self-immolating in front of the principal's office, which was clearly a desperate final protest against a system that she felt had failed her. Fellow students say that she was tormented for weeks and her complaints were ignored by the school. Her death serves, of course, as a devastating reminder here of how the system refused to act when she actually raised an alarm. This is indictment of inaction, clearly. And finally, in Mumbai, another case that's been reported in Mumbai a few days ago itself, where a 40-year-old teacher has been arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting a 16-year-old male student. She's accused of taking this boy to luxury hotels, feeding him alcohol and anti-anxiety pills, and then sexually exploiting him. Now, these are three horrific cases that have come to light of teachers exploiting their students in different states, forcing us to really ask some painful questions here. The accused have been arrested, of course. The investigation is underway, but is that really enough? Where and who takes the true responsibility? Should institutions be held accountable for failing to protect their students? And should licenses of these institutions be revoked as a stark warning to others? Well, let me take our guests here, our panelists, to give us a little more clarity on how safe our campuses are today. Joining us is Preeti Banerjee, child rights activist, and Brinda Adige, who's a social activist. Thank you both of you for joining us. Brinda, you're Bengaluruan. You're from the city where this crime has happened. In Bangalore, two professors and one of their friends have raped this girl repeatedly, claiming to have videos of her, inappropriate videos of her, and the student succumbs. And the modus operandi, they called her to Bengaluru to take some study material, some notes, said that we'll give you some notes that you have to study for physics and biology teachers. These are serious professors. Undergraduate student who basically went to take some notebooks from these professors and got raped repeatedly.
Absolutely deplorable, despicable, Nabila. But first, we must also applaud the parents for trusting their daughter and taking the matter to the authorities so that a case is registered and these fellows, the rapists, have been arrested. Because most often we see parents and teachers here, of course, it is also the teachers cover it up, or they say that, don't talk about it. And like you mentioned, the educational institution has the primary responsibility to keep students safe. They have failed miserably. Now, taking away the license will affect students. So, what should the education department do? I think it is time for them to suspend the management and all the teachers who might have also known some little bit. Because if these guys have done something like that, it may not be the first case. What are the other counselors and other teachers and security doing over there? How is it that there is only one student who has been lured and to come to Bangalore to give whatever study materials or stuff like that? Often we find that the management is unwilling to take action. The management wants to keep the name and prestige of their college intact or school intact at the cost of the lives of their students. So I think it is time for the department and the state to wake up and say schools are learning temples. Colleges are institutions where everybody thinks every child going in over there is safe. If those people become predatory, if that place becomes dangerous for students, where else can they go? How can teachers, how can parents keep track of their children if the college management is unwilling to step in and take responsibility and be accountable for the safety and security? That said, I think it is time for us to start doing psychological evaluation of people coming with academic qualifications as teachers or professors, and then summarily
What kinds of
dismiss.
screening can possibly be done? We are in fact showing you images also of the Odisha girl, her mortal remains being taken away. She died today of the injuries. She self-immolated, and all because the institution did not respond to her multiple complaints where she accused the teacher of sexually harassing her repeatedly for months, but the principal nor the institution took any note of it. They in fact ignored her repeated pleas, and finally helpless. And we hear that the teacher allegedly told her that she will face consequences with her markings, her subject marks, if she didn't comply. That's to the extent she was harassed, and that the girl in Odisha finally died to the injuries. It's just very sad and tragic. Another case from Mumbai where a 16-year-old boy was sexually harassed by his teacher. She took him to luxury hotels and fed him alcohol, anti-anxiety pills, and sexually exploited him. So where do you draw a boundary with a teacher? How do you even know a teacher can turn out to be a predator? Dr. Charu Walikhanna, author and former member of NCW, also joining us. Dr. Charu, would you want to jump in on that? Our campus is safe. What's happened in Bengaluru today has really left us shocked. A biology and a physics teacher raping this student multiple times, and basically on the pretext of sharing notes, but called her to another house and raped her, threatening her with videos, repeatedly raped her, and then boasting about it to other professors and raping her.
See, it's really unfortunate that this is happening, but as we are, I mean, we have to acknowledge the fact that we are living in a very dangerous environment in India today, where women are not safe. They're not safe in their houses, they're not safe in school, college, whether it's a policeman, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a hospital. I mean, this the kind of cases that have come up. But it's not that something new is happening. Before also you had heard of PhD students being, kind of groomed or sexually exploited by their guides. And these things were happening. But now everything is coming in the public domain. Now, what is unfortunate is that there are so many laws, like Section 19 of POCSO clearly says that anyone who has an apprehension that a offense is going to take place or offense has taken place, it's mandatory for the person to report. Now, how this child was taken to the hotels, drugged, I mean, look at the kind of pressure the child must have been under. And it's more than, but we are not bothered. The society, the state is not bothered about women. It should, gender sensitization should be inculcated at the educational level so that a culture of respect is fostered in the human beings. I'm using the word human beings, whether male or female. Post Nirbhaya, more than a decade, is there anything about sexual reproduction, sexual relationships, how women, girls should be aware, concept of consent for boys in the educational syllabus? No, nobody talks about it. And girls in India are extremely live. They, if someone tells them something, they believe that boy and they'll go with him. If the teacher says that come to my house for notes, they'll go there. So how do you make the child aware that you're living in a dangerous environment and you need to be constantly alert? Share your location. And what is most astonishing, in fact, distressing for me is that the system didn't work. The student who made the complaint to the college authorities, no action was taken. I think for that, the college authorities should be held liable. The college license need not be suspended because that's an extreme step. Other students will also be affected. But definitely, the management of the college should be arrested.
Should
I have
there be
no
an
other word for
FIR, a
that.
case filed against someone from the college
Absolutely.
management, so they do their due
Absolutely.
diligence better while hiring these teachers? Because
Due
you know,
diligence
and ma'am,
for
you say that
psychology.
students are vulnerable. They're not aware. They go into homes. They're, you know, girls. You call them here. They go there. I'm sorry, but these are professors. If you can't trust your professor, who do you trust? Miss Preeti Banerjee. If you can't trust your
Yes.
professor, who do you trust? These are your teachers who instill values in you, who instill trust in you, who teach you about safe spaces. If you can't trust them, who do you trust?
We are failing as a society. This is a terrible situation we are living in, where a children doesn't have a safe environment for getting education. Can we imagine where we are living? This is extremely painful to think about a children, a students who is going for education, who are the future of our nation. They are at threat of their basic safety. This is a basic thing we are looking for. This is not something very exceptional we are looking for. The basic safety we are it's very shameful that we have to talk something like this in today's life, where education is the most important thing, but the institutes, they are not accountable. They have no accountability. When we talk about, there are a lot of workshops, there are a lot of guidelines, there are laws, but how much the institutes and universities, colleges, schools, they are practicing the law, they're exercising the guidelines. I am sure, like, whenever I see these cases, I believe parents are in extreme pain, extreme trauma. Every parent, they are in such trauma that thinking that they have to send their children to school, they have to send their children to colleges, and what they are getting in behalf of that, just these kind of terrible news, and
No,
what action
ma'am, I
is just.
still believe that these are episodes that almost reaffirm some families or some parents' archaic beliefs that this is why we shouldn't get our girl child educated. This is why we shouldn't send her to college. This is why we should get her married much early in life. This is why.
Of course,
This is
it
why
gives
you
them
cover her hair.
attitude.
This is why you
Of
cover
course.
her clothes. This is why you keep her indoors.
Of
I
course.
find this so heartbreaking. A girl who's barely into her first year degree, and she believes in her professor in Bengaluru, goes to the professor's home because he said he's going to share some notes, and he rapes her after luring her into coming to that house, and that man boasts about it to the biology professor. The biology professor takes that video from this physics professor and shows it to her and says, if you don't have sex with me, I am going to leak this video. And that girl, vulnerable, one after the other attempts of raping her, she kept silent for a month. Brinda, reinforcing such archaic beliefs, these are cases that shatter us as a society and throws us back into the ages.
You're absolutely right, Nabila, because the onus to be safe, the onus not to get raped, these are phrases that people use, is always on the woman, is always on the girl. We do not blame the perpetrators. We do not have much to say about the sexual predators. And all the time we say, why were you not careful? Why did you go there? But what is it? This is the trust between a student and a teacher and a professor. And we believe that they are looking out for us, our future, and our education. So when they say, come so and so place, take it and go, take the notes and go, they will go. But just see, the impunity with which these professors and lecturers have done this. That is what I said. This may not have been the first case. This may not have been the only student. I'm sure something like this has happened in the past. It's just that those students may not be lucky enough to have parents like this particular student. And those students may not have been so very brave and courageous. They are so vulnerable because the first thing is stop going to college. And we know that that is very rampant in almost 70-80% of our families, irrespective of their educational qualifications. The parents, irrespective of their status, the social status or the economic status. Don't go to school, don't go to college, stay back. And we are looking at the number of child marriages because those are statistics that are present of number of young people giving birth to children, and all of those statistics are there. And these are reasons where there is no accountability, no safety for our students coming into our colleges and schools, and these predators getting away with it. Now also, we will have to wait and see how long it will take for the courts to look into this case. And like you mentioned, the Balasore case, months the girl has been complaining to
In
people.
fact, the girl had to set herself ablaze for the teacher and the principal to be arrested. We are showing you the visuals of the principal there. Why do you think, Brinda, the principal should be arrested and his arrest here is justified? In the Balasore case, his professor, his institution's professor allegedly harassed that girl. He had no direct role to play, but the cops have arrested the principal because the girl set herself ablaze outside the principal's office. Why do you think his arrest is justified?
He's directly responsible for abetting suicide. He's the next in command in the college. When none of the other things worked, she went to complain to him. He can take immediate action. That is the power and authority given to him as a principal. And if he did not do it, how can we allow him to be absolved? How can he say that I was not directly involved? Absolutely. You are the protector, you are the head of that institution, and when something amiss comes to your notice, directly or indirectly, you are supposed to take immediate action. You are there for the students, not the other way around. And when the student came and complained to you, reported to you, you should have got into action. But he sat there and probably told her to compromise. Then he does not have a IC committee, which is mandated by law.
Absolutely,
So he
yeah,
constitutes
that's
an
what I
IC committee and then also make all kinds of golmaal over there. He should be arrested and put behind bars immediately.
You know, this Bengaluru case, the Moodabidri College in question here, what do you think should be the next move? If I could bring in Preeti Banerjee on this, what ideally should be the next move of the police? Just arresting these three professors. If I could flash their photographs on our screens, they should be named and shamed. Three professors in Bengaluru have been arrested for raping the young girl. Can we have the photographs of those rapists there? Of course, these are allegations against them.
There should be a proper investigation. As far as I believe, there should be a proper committee set up where there should be a clean and transparent investigation where we get the answers that how a professor can feel so comfortable in doing such kind of crime when they are proposing something like this. They are asking something like this. There should be an investigation and a proper answer to all the people, all the parents, all the students for this.
These images that we see on our screens here of the three professors, two of them professors, one of them the professor's friend. What should really be the punishment? You know, ideally in a case like this, what's the punishment that they face? And since this is, I'm not too sure of if there's any different punishment or the laws are different when it comes to the perpetrator being a professor or someone who's a caregiver. If you could educate our audience here and me.
Yeah, definitely. I think they should be given the most stringent of punishments. And according to the law, if the person is a person whom you trust, a person in authority, whether it's a professor or a person in a hospital or a institution or a home, the punishment doubles. But now, apparently, see, if it was the one person whom she went to take the notes from, and he molested her or raped her, maybe one could have considered it a one-off, or one person who's let's say, who's got a kind of diabolical interest and is a sexual predator. But what is more shocking is that the video gets shared with another professor of another subject, and he shows it to her, and then he blackmails. That means what kind of professors and what kind of academic staff do they have in that college who are indulging in this? But unfortunately, this man, the others will, they're just viewing pornographic acts, and they may get away with it. In fact, they'll also get bail. That's the tragedy. In India,
Any
all the statistics.
special punishment? When I say special, the harshest of punishment to these three professors. You're basically using the vulnerability of the student, promising to teach the child, and then calling her to your house to collect notebooks, and then raping her, videographing her, sending it out to people, and then motivating other professors to rape her. I'm shattered to hear this news. Bengaluru is an education hub. And a story like this is really going to set us back.
Oh, absolutely, 20 years of life, but they'll get out. That's the tragedy. That's what I'm saying. They'll put the blame on the girl. If you see the story, if you follow this story after 6 months, you'll see that the girl incited me. The girl, they put the blame on her. And that's what's happening. She's lucky that her parents have supported her.
Brinda?
And they must have done it to many other girls.
Correct.
And this
Absolutely.
girl spoke up. That is scary. Where is the POSH committee? Where's the IC committee under the POSH Act? The principal is directly responsible for this. If he cannot manage a college, he has no business to be there.
Correct.
And he's mismanaging it. He's negligent, dereliction of duty. He's encouraging these acts of the sexual predators. So he definitely is abetting the crimes.
What are the guidelines? On final note, Brinda, if I can ask you guidelines on what's a big no-no for professors or teachers to do. What should parents be aware today watching this on where are the red flags? I know, of course, it may have been a stretch for the girl to go all the way to Bengaluru to collect notes. People will ask certain questions. You give us a sense. I don't want to be casting aspersions here on the girl or her character. People will be saying things as to why she's gone all the way. But, the rules on how to respond to a teacher who is advancing in such a manner.
A teacher who cannot give the notes and lessons in class, what kind of a teacher is that? So there must be a rule and a norm set down by the college and the institution itself that no teacher will get in touch with any student over phone after or before college time. Nobody should call anyone to anyone's house, and strict information given to parents and students that you do not have anything to do with your teachers outside the premises of the college or the school. Now, that said, we also want to bring in the courts because one of our panelists, I forget your name, madam, but you said 20 years and he will be out. They have committed multiple crimes. The courts must ensure that these crimes are punished accordingly and they serve the punishment one after another. And today the BNSS is pretty strict where it allows the judge to give additional punishment if that can set an example and set a precedent. And I think we need to hold the courts and the judiciary responsible to ensure that there is fear of law that is instilled. For too long, there's impunity that gets strengthened. Fear of law will help prevent it, but we cannot be waiting for such cases to keep coming up
and it's
punishing
constantly
them.
happening. We're here talking about this today because in just the last 15 days, 3 horrific incidents have been reported. Bengaluru being today, the case has come to light today because the 3 men have been arrested. But for over a month, this girl was sexually exploited by her college professors. These are the men. I want to name and shame them as much as I can. Well, of course, allegations, still, these are allegations. It needs to be proven after investigation. But we will go with the victim's version at this point. Of course, complete rage that's filled our hearts today to listen to what these men have done, acting as physics professor, lecturers, and luring them in the name of giving them notebooks or study material and raping her, videographing her, publishing it with other professors. The modus operandi here is appalling. And then finally, as I come to an end here, Preeti Banerjee, this is one case. The other one, what I heard of from Mumbai, where a very reputed school, institution's name is, of course, at this point been kept secret because people do not want the institution to get a black name. But I'd like to ask you, should the institution's name also come out and called out? If something like this has happened in an institution, should the institution's name be published equally as much as the perpetrators?
Absolutely. The institution name should come because it is about the safety of the students. This is something very, I am also a mother and I feel so scared thinking about that. What kind of teachers, what kind of staffs the institutes are hiring, what are the principles these staffs are having that they can practice something like this. And it is not only about law and order. See, we have our guidelines, we have our laws and everything, but it is a high time as a society for us to wake up, to talk about things. Parents feel comfortable talking about how to do preventions.
I have a question here.
What matters?
The lady, the Mumbai school teacher is a woman, and not one single picture is out of that lady. As much as we see the men who have been accused of rape, the professors' pictures are out, we're naming and shaming them. Not a single picture of the lady who harassed a male student has come out. It's a reputed school, I hear. So I'm in a way assuming that the school is trying to protect her, therefore their reputation as well. But Brinda, your take on this, on the woman who sexually harassed a child, 16-year-old boy, taking him to luxury hotels and feeding him alcohol, anti-anxiety pills and sexually exploiting him? Her face has not come out?
Absolutely shameful, deplorable that you can have a teacher who has been doing something like this and has been getting away. And there should have been some suspicions. There would have been some kind of talk. Why is it that the college has also not caught on these kind of things to keep people safe? How is it that there are counselors in schools and colleges who are not willing or open to listen to children who might either show signs or come and talk to them? And for the other question, Nabila, we have a law. So especially for women, we will not be able to put out their photos just now, but I'm sure it will come out in course of time. And today we need to be telling our children that you want to be safe from both, from everybody, men, women, and trans persons. You want to take care of yourself and never be afraid to speak up, come and talk to your parents and teachers. I'm sure there are plenty of fantastic teachers, very caring teachers, and teachers
This episode here today is not to discredit the teaching fraternity whatsoever. We've had great teachers. I've had fantastic teachers growing up. They really shape you in the best possible way. But a case like this can really derail a student's future. It could completely shatter any kind of trust that the child can even attempt to have with anyone, any relationship she or he will doubt going forward, if this happens to her or him at the hands of a teacher. And that's why we called for this discussion here today, to sensitize our audience on how safe or unsafe campuses are and what are the red flags to watch out for. I really appreciate three of you joining us. Thank you very much. We will be following through on this case.